Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding. Big Ron Partlow here, Dusty Hanshaw, Scott, the producer, McNally. Welcome to the show. We're happy to have. I guess we're doing a Q&A episode today. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
Yes, and remember, IamMutant.com. Dusty20, Big Ron 20, get your 20% off, get your ISO Surge, get your all in, and everyone should get on the gear. And also remember, Think Big Bodybuilding Media, keep a producer homed. Scott McNally, yes,
thank you,
Patreon.
Guys. Thank you.
Remember the Patreon, this and that. Okay, we're ready to go. So guys, I love your shirt, Dusty.
Thank you. It's about gambling.
Yeah, I was also thinking, like, you know what they say about threesomes? If you have a 6 and a 5 together, that's an 11.
It's all you need. It doesn't get better.
It doesn't get better than 11. Right?
Yeah. You gotta have shirts about hobbies, like blackjack.
Right. Yes. No, I appreciate that. And you guys are doing great. Everything's going well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I got, we got big things going on over this house thanks to Ron. I have to train hard again. This is ridiculous.
Tell us why. Why is that?
Because Ron has got Nikki putting muscle back on, which means if I'm going to be a decent training partner, I got to do it. And you haven't even seen some of it now. We're just trying to. She's like, I'm just trying to do half of what you do, and now I'm trying to make sure I do double of what she does because it's
right now that's stuck in your head, right?
Gee, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, ooh, some of these numbers are like the other day. It was what'd she do? 275 for 8 on dead stop RDLs. I was like, all right, well, I got 500, which is not double, so I got to get at least 11 to make this count.
Right, and if she gains 5 pounds on something, you have to add 10 pounds.
Yeah, it's not. So pretty much the moral of the story is Ron is making me bodybuild again.
Well, you guys got the training down pat. Like, I'm not going to butt in and get in the way a lot of the training. Obviously, what are you going to do?
Train harder.
You're training too hard, and you're training with too good a form, and you're training too precisely and efficiently. This is going well. But yeah, it's been fun. Just playing with the macros to start, getting her menu set up, getting her rolling on a good sort of right amount of food to see, what the body's going to do first few weeks. It's been fun. She's already saying she looks and thinks she looks a little better. So, that's awesome.
More food. That's the magic.
Yeah. More food down a notch on the belt.
She has to eat. She's like, shit, I got to eat again.
Yeah. It'll be
welcome back to bodybuilding where you have to eat and you're losing body fat.
Yeah. No, she's got a lot of muscle, man. She's got a great physique. She's been in shape before, which is such an advantage. I mean, you guys know when you take on a new client, you look at their pictures and you're like, oh, you already had your glutes in. Yeah. Like, what it's like to get in shape.
Road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you had, striated delts and, your back was shredded and you were like in shape. So like, okay, where you're supposed to be at 10 weeks out. You'll know, like when you're looking in the mirror in the morning, if your legs are coming in, how some people don't have that. They don't have the experience. And when someone's been in really great shape, I mean, she looked great at her last show. That really changes the game.
It's been cool because the warm-up show or the first show, I shouldn't say warm-up because the goal is to be perfect, but the first show she's doing, we've accidentally got like 4 friends now also doing it.
Nice.
So it's like everyone's dieting down for the same show, which is, it just makes it easy, with everyone kind of pushing along. So that was kind of the goal of the whole thing. A lot of people were like, why? Obviously she's not trying to like make a career or anything. It's just because when she was competing in the past, it was single mom, fresh off divorce, didn't get to like enjoy the process. And we were talking a little bit one day and I was like, oh, you still have the itch. And she's like, what? And I'm like, you would like to do this, I can tell. And I'm like, go ahead. And so I just text Ron. I'm like, I need your help. I kind of left it blank for a second. And I was like, you got to prep Nikki. And he's like, what?
So you said, I need your help, send.
Yeah.
And then you waited a little while. So it could have been anything. Ron, what were you thinking Dusty had?
Jail.
Was he in jail? Yeah, exactly.
No, I just assumed he wanted me to lie for him.
Oh,
Again. That goes without saying. I don't have to tell you that. That's the what was it? Who is it that did that?
Who was it that did that?
Kevin Hart.
Yeah,
Kevin Hart went through the whole thing. He's like,
Yeah.
You signed a contract when you became my best friend. My bullshit is your bullshit.
Yeah. No, I know. Actually, I have to be honest, Dusty. We didn't talk about this at all. But because I totally get the you're in the relationship. I totally get you're like, I am going to not touch your diet.
Oh yeah. No.
Like I get that.
Yeah, that's a smart move.
That's why I haven't even brought it up to you that I'm prepping Nikki. Like he literally asked me to do it, and I don't even think I replied to you. I just started talking to Nikki.
Just slid it over.
Like you were just completely left out of the loop of any of it, which is what I thought you probably wanted most.
Flawless.
So as a friend, that's what I delivered was zero involvement.
Yeah.
My job is to take the pictures on her phone.
Yeah.
Give it to her. I have nothing to do with anything else.
No, as far as I know, this is single chick that just lives in this house, and she's just sending me photos. And so it's been good that way, because I know that Dusty obviously, like with all his experience prepping people, he knows that the best scenario is to just let them handle it.
Yeah.
And they get to train together and they get to train hard and all that stuff. So like, I know she's killing it. I know she's hitting her cardio. They just bought an Echo bike for the house. Like this is like serious business. Like she's going to be in shape. But I wanted to
become a cardio house.
Yeah. But I wanted to say that I was genuinely flattered when you asked me to help. Like I was like, oh wow, because a lot of people. You've got a vast network of extremely experienced people, including people that live probably closer, So when you guys asked me, I was like, hey man, that's really cool. I'm gonna take this very seriously and make sure I do the best I can. And so, yeah, that's be a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to putting up some crazy pictures in the future,
I'm grateful you used the word asked because I was kind of just like letting you know I needed it to happen. I'm not doing this, so I need you on this one, buddy.
Well, I had to talk to Emily.
She was like, she goes,
is there any way out of this? And Emily's like, no, you kind of have to.
If you notice, he didn't put a question mark. He just said, I need you to do.
Yeah, this would be a problem if you don't. Yeah.
No, but it was good because I've done, obviously I've prepped and had success with wives, girlfriends, all of the above. And
that's why you're not doing it again.
Yeah.
No, they're not here anymore. No.
Yeah.
But in seriousness, it's more fun. Like I was like, I want to have fun. I want to be the support. Like, tell me to go to the grocery store and get shit that Ron told you to do. And I'll be like, all right, cool. That was the whole process. So it's super fun this way, but it is kind of funny because I don't know if you've had this, Scott. I'm sure you've got a couple of my clients or Ron's from here and there. I always laugh when I get one of Ron's old clients or he gets one of mine because he sends me the diet and I'm like, all right, so I got to change something. Literally exactly what I would do.
Oh, I don't know. We'll turn some whey into egg whites, I guess.
Yeah.
No, what I've been doing now is I just change it from grams to ounces.
Yeah.
I'm like, now it's
Americanized it. USA. Yeah, an American coach now. Going to do it the way the pros do it.
Yeah.
Do it
Ounces,
the less accurate way. Welcome to America.
Yeah.
So what do we got on deck, Scott? We didn't even plan.
We have a whole plan here. We have a whole plan.
We don't know about.
Yep, you do. We have a bunch of listener questions. We got a few from Patreon, a bunch from the last episode on YouTube. We have a physique critique that we're going to start out with. Ooh. And I wanted to tell you guys, I had Miss Olympia training just feet away from me in the home gym over the weekend. How about that? Miss Olympia coming to train at my home gym. Like it was really an honor to have her here. Not to mention she liked the equipment and she trained hard. Like she took it to that place that, you know,
That's awesome.
Those workouts that we absolutely never will forget in our lives because we took it to that place. She took it to that place.
It's a, you know, like it's one thing to have Miss Olympia training at your house during times of oppressive government tyranny.
Yeah,
but it's another thing.
No other choices.
Option.
Yeah,
it's another thing to have Miss Olympia training in your basement without that. Yeah. So it really is cool. With her, you know, her own
it was
choice.
cool. It was cool. I was honored. So we shot video for Mutant, and I think it all went pretty good too. And you know, full leg selection, so she got to do everything she wanted, and she likes to superset things. So there was like no need to like ask or be polite and, you know, commandeer equipment from people. Yeah, exactly. She just got to do what she wanted. So it turned out really good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see those because so when we had Drea on, it was my first intro into how hardcore she is because she's the nicest, sweetest person on the planet. But when you talk about training, I'm like, ooh. That's a different angle. I like this girl even more now.
Yeah, she gets fired up.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she was
stand up or
doing
sit down. Remember?
She was doing these like 30 rep sets on the leg press, and this leg press, you know, the Nautilus Explode leg press has the funky plate, and some people like it, some people don't like it. If you expect like an Icarian, it's good, you know, you'll be disappointed because it's its own thing. Turned out she liked it a lot, and she really got to use, because she's really trying to hit like the posterior chain, the glutes and hamstrings with all of her leg movements. And she said that like when she got down to the bottom, she had no choice but to use the glutes to help to get it up. And I think she might have overshot it a little bit and went a little heavier than she would have for the 30 rep sets, but then she didn't back the weight down. She was like, well, I guess this is what I'm doing. And she just made it work.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, that's what we're doing today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
One of the things about Drea that I liked was there's this real old school element to how she looks at stuff. Like, you know, we talk about this a lot. Everyone's very like formulaic, like what's the latest, you know, what is that, you know, optimal rep range for this exercise and optimal rest between sets and all that stuff. And then a lot of people, including us, we all get caught up in it.
Sure.
But she's got this stuff where, you know, I mean, a lot of it she got from John, right? Yeah. And her coach, and it's done just because it's miserable.
Yeah.
And it makes you harder, and it makes you like test yourself more. Like, you know, what's her formula for the 30 rep leg presses? Well, they just really suck.
Yeah. She wants to be able to like walk away knowing she literally did everything she could, you know?
And I like a lot of that. That's cool stuff. You know, why do you do that? Well, I tried to think of the hardest thing I could do right now, and that was it.
Yeah. And I was sure to get video of her walking up the stairs because it's in the basement, you know, afterward.
Yeah.
And then getting into that huge truck that she got from Wings of Strength from winning that last year. It's like that thing is so lifted. I'm telling you, like the step to get in, what do they call that? Like the running boards or whatever. They're like up to my waist. So she literally had to like reach up and hold a handle and then take a couple breaths and then go, okay, I'm going to lift this foot. And then she lifts it and it doesn't quite make it. And then she lifts it again and gets it up there.
Oh, nice. And
then she had to use
you should have filmed that as her last set.
Yeah.
We didn't get it.
We in and out of the truck 3 times to finish.
Yeah.
You know,
so we did get
screw
that
the parking lot lunges.
Yeah, exactly. So it was good though. So I'm freaking pumped. I'll be excited. I'll let everybody know too when Mutant gets that out. I'll be sending that over to them today. So yeah, we have let me see who this is exactly here because I still have him pulled up. And I asked him for a front double. Oh, cool. And he sent me a front double. So this is Mitchell. And I'm going to grab that front double because I didn't get one first. And I was like, dude, if you're going to send us a physique critique, we need a front double. Because he had like a bunch of the like classic physique poses and stuff like that. And we'll start out here. We'll start out with the front double. And I'm going to grab a couple of them. And I'll see what he has to say too, because he also sent me an email about this. He says, Before all else, I want to say that I absolutely love the show and the podcast you guys do. Truly a gem within the industry. Not sure if you're planning on having any other guys chime in on my physique. Yeah, we are. We're putting you on the show, man. He asked to be put on the show.
Awesome.
He says, but the more the merrier if you do. I want to get to the top of the sport, so any constructive criticism I can use to improve is valuable. Some context to my physique: he's currently a natural bodybuilder at 3.5 weeks out, and he needs a couple more pounds off of the glutes and hams to come in. He's 5'9.5". He's 163 pounds in these photos. So at 159 to 160, I think that I'll be stage ready. I'm aware there's a ton of areas that I need to improve, but I'm at stage ready at 160. That means I'll have about 47 pounds of tissue to add to be in the classic physique weight cap. In my mind, if I do this right with my structure, I do think I could be a top classic guy, and I'd love to hear your thoughts as well as the rest of the guys.
Awesome.
Yeah, really
Get out of the guy's way. The guy looks awesome, especially, and the guy doesn't just look good for natty. The guy looks good, period. Yeah. Like when you said he was natty, I was like, oh, yeah. I mean, I like the way he stands with his shots. Yeah.
I'll keep.
I like how he. Oh yeah, I mean,
you like how he does what, Ron?
Well, see how he has his legs in the front double.
Yeah,
that's how he should always have them from the front. The way he has his knees locked on the front, relaxed, is not gonna help him out.
You also might pass out.
What's that?
You also might pass out from locking your knees like that on stage.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's in great shape. He's sort of evenly developing. Like I don't see anything glaring. He's got a good back. He's got some quads, like, you know what I mean? The delts and, great midsection. He's got some V-taper, like the front lat spread shows a lot of promise. I don't know. I'm just going to get out of this guy's way. Like, I'm not going to tell this guy he can't do shit. Look at the most muscular. Like, that's like some of those natty guys, man, they have like a great look. And just think of how much, like, think of how many drugs a lot of guys take to try to look like that middle pitcher.
Just to get there. Absolutely.
Just to get there. There's guys using like 15 grand worth of shit a year to try to look like that.
Yeah.
But of course we know some of our listeners aren't going to believe a single thing. So
lies.
Think 5'9", just think though, 5'9", 165 or whatever he weighs.
Yeah.
Like think of how many shittier looks you can have at 5'9", 165. Like he's, that's like a great look for 5'9", 165. Jesus.
Yeah, it really is.
Think of most guys most regular people. Yeah, I know.
Run through this. Like now that we've gotten every angle, like that's the most important thing is usually you've got things that are missing in guys. Yeah. Like, and that's your biggest factor. So the critique is more time. You look awesome. Yeah, just keep doing exactly what you're doing. Just keep laying bricks. And when you're up 10 pounds on a physique like that, especially with his structure, 10 pounds would be enormous on him.
Oh, yeah.
Now imagine what do you say, 47?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to agree. I think the only thing that I would say is stay on the path that you're on now on the natural side for a while until it's not working. Like as long as you're growing and improving, stay that. And
there's natty gains to be had.
Yeah, I mean, if you look like that now, I think that's an area that takes an extreme amount of discipline to not be in a hurry to put on the size.
And I wonder if he's competing in a natural show too, or if he's just doing an open show. Because I know plenty of guys like he could compete. I mean, he might not be the biggest guy in an open show, right? But like conditioning wise and stuff, he could do really well.
His weight class, I've seen guys. I've seen natural guys win classes all over the place.
And if he's competing in a natural division with that shape, because like the shape is the big thing that he has really, going for him. I mean, I think he could do incredible. I would say to focus on posing, which is an easy thing you can fix. Like if he has 3.5 weeks now, if there's anybody in his area that he trusts or something, like literally just working on that for an hour could be a complete game changer. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, you got a wide waist, there's nothing you can do about it. It's like, you could change that in an hour. You know what I mean?
Thanks, Scott. You gotta bring me up all the time.
It's not like you're dusty or something.
He's always jabbing at you. He's
not like you're dusty.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I mean, I'm just over here by myself, minding my business.
Yeah. The only thing that even came to my mind that was like a criticism was just to not lock his knees like that in some of the front poses. Was just stand with how he had him in the front double. Just stand with him like that on all the front shots, and like just that alone would change how
that would be huge.
All looked. Yeah, it'd be huge.
That'd be huge.
Yeah,
he is pretty balanced overall, though, isn't he?
Yeah, and had that like shredded natty look, dry. Like he's not going to have to like worry about water,
Yeah.
He's drank water in a month.
Like he's doing, obviously his body doesn't like, he's handling his foods well, and he's, using, his body. It's just, he's got that dry look. So that's a huge plus.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All
and
right.
just to toss this in before we're done, and I'm sure those are practice trunks, but get different colored trunks. That's the only thing.
Oh yeah,
those will kill you on stage if those are actually your trunks. I doubt they are, but I just have to throw it in just in case.
Why would you get different trunks, Dusty?
Because when he puts a tan on and is wearing those trunks, you want drastic difference. So tan skin, dark blue, bright red, I don't care what color it is, but I mean, don't go up there in gold or tinfoil or any of that shit, or white. No bueno. I've seen that before, and I hate that when you see somebody really good. I saw a guy that thought it'd be fun to come out in white trunks once. I was like,
ugh.
It's your first thought was like, oh, you're wearing white trunks. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's not good. Like, your trunks should not even enter someone's mind. I think that's a big thing people miss when they want to get in these trunks and shit like that. It's like, they shouldn't even, that's why I always bought black, because they just don't cross your mind or basic. Like, I mean, I had a sponsor, so they send me a bunch of them. And at the end of the day, I'd wear like a solid color of whatever I happen to grab. I'm like, these will work. But yeah, that's the only thing. And I'm sure those are practice, but I have to say it just in case.
I had a pair of burgundy trunks one time, and it was the worst trunks I ever had because my tan had
no
that,
pants on.
I looked naked. I just looked naked from head to toe.
I knew what that was
what I mean?
There's the naked guy.
Yeah. I mean, you could see it, but it wasn't. It definitely didn't pop. That's for sure.
Yeah. That's great.
All right. All right. I'll see what else we got here because, like I said, I knew we had a bunch of listener questions here too. All right. What about this one? I'm just going to start pulling from the top here. Last 5 Minute Crew loved the show. Also, okay. Yeah, this is your client, isn't it, Dusty? It was just a comment. He said, also won my show last week, first in both classic and light heavy open because I was the most shredded. Love the content, gentlemen. Not your
No,
client,
that's
Jessie?
not my Jessie. That's
okay.
My Jesse's got a show in 3 weeks. But, that's awesome.
Still great result, though.
Hell yeah. I knew he posted.
So is he trying? Is he trying to tell us that we somehow either motivated him to diet harder and get in condition, or
he's
or
probably
he got
worried
a tip
about his
from
split
us?
to the hips because of you. He's probably afraid of you're going to yell.
Hey, you know what? I am really happy about the number of people that I've seen at shows that have said, man, I can flex my quads this year because of that split to the hips rant. I worked on it.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we'll pretend that's part of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Jesse's commented a lot, so thank you, Jesse. Appreciate it, man. We had, let's see this next one. So here's a question for the next show. If you guys could change anything at the Mr. Olympia, let's say the Open, because that's always the only thing that matters. For example, number of competitors, how the posing is done, competitions, comparisons, and so on. Perhaps prejudging and finals on the same days. Can you make the Mr. Olympia better or more interesting if possible? Thanks for the great show, Last 5 Minute Crew. And he's from Sweden, so shout out to Sweden.
Awesome. That's amazing.
I have some. So my first thing I would do after last year, and I think I had to jump in before Ron stole this from me, take all the wildness off of the background of the stage during the show. Remember how they had like the video going and the waves in the background? You remember that at the Olympia last year, Ron? There was so much noise trying to make the show. And I think it's important for the promoters to remember that if you're at that show and you're spending $300 a seat to go to the Olympia, you know what you're there to watch, and it's bodybuilding. Like, keep it simple so we can see the athletes at their best. It was literally distracting, all the shit that was going on in the background of that stage.
Yeah, and I don't see why they couldn't simply, like, you could have the wild craziness, and then when the next competitor comes out, it could just drop to black.
Yeah.
That guy could come out, and they could have, they could do the doorway thing or whatever. They got to have some
intro. Of course.
Some theatrical value. Obviously, the thing turning, and there's Ronnie standing
that's
there.
All
like,
cool.
That's all cool. They come down the stairs, but then once they're posing, like, the cameras should be on them, full body all the time, and it should be a black background. Like when we're watching the side screens and they switch to like a weird camera angle, it's like, no, just leave it on the full front view. That's all anyone cares about. I don't want to see like any of the other angles. So some shows are better at that than others, obviously. That's another thing they could do. But the black stage behind them, and maybe if they do it like at least at prejudging.
Oh, yeah. That was my favorite part of the Arnold. Remember back in the day, it was just the black curtain. That's all they had at the Arnold for, I don't know if they're still doing it, but for years, you walked out to a black curtain on a stage. It looked like you were in a high school auditorium as far as the stage and the backdrop.
Yeah.
And that's how you judge bodybuilding.
Well, they didn't even play music way back in the day. They didn't even have the audience. They wanted it to be quiet. You couldn't clap and stuff either. It was just
the old school prejudging.
Yeah, the real old school. Yeah.
Remember, if you watch Pumping Iron, they're all sitting in the crowd and they're all kind of like,
yeah,
he looks really good. Like,
they call him the Bat. They call him the Bat. Remember that?
Yeah. Watch him open his lats.
Yeah, they're all like whispering.
Like
yeah. That's good. Anything else? Anything else you guys can think of?
No, I think that was the main thing that jumped in my head as far as what they could do to the show. I do wish as a fan that more guys would put Terrence Ruffin effort into posing.
Yeah, great.
And I'm not saying to do it like him. And I'll be the first to say I was terrible about that. When I was bodybuilding, I knew when the show was taking place, and that was prejudging, and that's what I worked towards.
Right.
And now, looking back, I'm like, man, what a disappointment I would have been if someone came to watch me. Because, I hit mandatories to music that I didn't even pay attention to. And but I feel like that's terrible. I mean, you're at the best, biggest show in the world, and there's guys that's what they do, and I just think, man, and again, I like to blame and say I was just as bad, but as a fan, I would love to see that increase. Because when you see, I remember like going to shows to watch Kai pose, going to shows to watch Melvin Anthony pose, King Kamali. Like, whether you like their style or not, they put in effort,
Yeah.
Right.
Remember Darum Charles? Oh, he was great.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
There's
Charles
guys on the show
Clemente.
Googling him right now. Oh, yeah.
Lots of great posers.
Oh, here we go. I'm derailing. But anyway, yes, the posing.
Mine would be the live stream, and like you had mentioned, Ron, with the cameras, like let's just show us the bodybuilding. If I'm spending the money to pay per view for this, I just want to see one camera. You guys can probably save a lot of money too on all those other cameras and the crane and stuff. Just the one.
The comparisons, right? When they zoom in on one guy's hamstring when they're doing a rear double, I'm like, no.
Yeah, and I don't care.
I want to see
at
least. When they're panning the lineup, I want to see at least 3 guys at all times.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that more full picture, so you can there's always someone to compare them to in the visual,
Yeah, I don't care about how Sean Ray felt when he stood on the stage, a couple decades ago. I don't want to hear that story while they're actually posing. I mean, that's fantastic and everything. Great bodybuilder, one of the best. But I really don't care when I'm trying to watch what's happening on stage right now.
You just made it so much worse because now you're making me think about when they come out for their routine. Yeah. And again, I know what I'm watching. I do not want to hear you at all. Not your turn.
Right.
When they're posing, just
when the
shut up. I want to hear
commentators,
the music. I want to watch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So So there's that. This last year, they kind of really did drop the ball because I had watched the live stream. We went out there, and then for finals, we didn't go. The tickets were like outrageous, right?
Yeah.
So we watched the live stream, and in between, they were cutting to backstage. So they'd go online, and you'd watch the show, and then they'd cut backstage, and they'd be like, "Oh, this is the champion from fitness, and how does it feel to be the Olympia?" And this is going on, and then you would miss the beginning of the next thing. And they were in the final. Everything, it all comes down to this, and fifth place goes to in the Olympia for the Open, and they cut to Bikini. I think it was on before them. They cut to the bikini girls backstage, and literally that's what you saw for the next 5 minutes. And I was like, what? This can't be happening. And then they like cut it back, and then like you saw the show for a couple minutes, and then you're like, oh wait, fourth, who got fourth? Oh wow, and he got fifth. And literally it all cut, and it was all backstage stuff until the show was over, and then Hottie's up there, and it was like, oh, I guess Hottie won. Like literally,
no way!
I paid $80 for this. I emailed them, and they told me they wouldn't give me my money back. And then I put a post up, and I was like, "Hey, anybody else have this happen?" And it didn't happen to everybody, but a bunch of people messaged me saying it happened to them. And so then the next day they're like, "We're not going to give you any money back because we haven't heard any other complaints." Well, I was probably the first guy that complained, and then later they refunded me my money. Yeah.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they did. So
wow.
Yeah. So I'd like them not to do that.
Yeah, let's not have that button.
Yeah,
we don't need that button.
No, they don't need to leave the stage at all. No one's in a hurry to.
Yeah.
I think the problem is they're used to this world where like you have to be occupied at all times.
Yeah.
So God forbid you actually have to wait for them to get done with fifth to find out who was in fourth.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think it was just a big mistake. Like they weren't supposed to go backstage at all. They had like a separate channel where you could like watch the backstage stuff if you wanted to watch that.
Oh, they were clipping.
Yeah, and that channel somehow got interfered with this channel. So yeah.
Oh Jesus!
It was
Get rid of that channel.
I think you can
Some bikini girl.
give it one of those. All right. Question for the next show. Hey Dusty, if properly taught and implemented, do you believe that DC is the most methodically, is that the word? Is that how you say it?
Best methodology.
Methodology. And my brain's not wanting to say the word. Okay, let me try it again.
Methodology.
You. Thank you.
There you go. Let's do Worcestershire sauce now.
For optimum size gain, assuming rest, nutrition, and supplements are in order.
If you, this is so funny. If you have the mentality to train that way, yes. If you do not, no. And that sounds really interesting, but it's like, for example, most people, if they followed Dorian Yates' training, would not put on the size they could have, because the intensity and the focus on every single rep was flawless. You know what I mean? So, but if you have that ability, then yes, I do. I definitely think it's the best way, because it's going to do high frequency, low volume, and progression is the magic. But again, he nailed it, which was if done correctly, and that's where the wheels typically fall off.
Right.
Most people fail with DC training or any progressive overload because somewhere along the way they lose sight of the fact that doing the movement correctly is everything. So you can't be so obsessed with seeing the weights go up or the reps go up that you speed the negative, or that you shorten the range of motion, or that you take 7 minutes in between sets. Like there's a lot of nuances that you're now lying to yourself. You know, exactly. If you don't have wrist wraps to take on, off, put on, you don't know how long it takes. Ron had me down. He's like, no, he needs another couple more seconds. He's tightening up the left one.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. So I do believe if you are missing some screws in your head, it's the best way. And the last little detail is your body needs to be made for it. You know, something that Justin mentioned which is so key, is do not try to force a training methodology to work for you.
Yeah.
That's good. I agree.
Yeah.
All right. How about this one? Any protocols or tips for improving sleep quality? I'm using a CPAP, which helps a ton, but I'm barely getting REM sleep every night.
I have a question. Is he researching that? Like, is he reading something that's telling him that?
He has to be. Otherwise, how would he know?
I hate that shit. That's literally my answer. I feel like, well, here's the thing.
Is there a problem?
Yeah, because I see people like, if you wake up and you feel rested, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I had a client just barely send me this whole breakdown of her digestive disorder that her doctor had her do a test for. I'm like, you've never said anything about digestion. She's like, well, no, it never bothers me. I'm like, why did we take this test? Well, now it says this. I'm like, ignore that shit. No, throw it away. You were digesting it all fine until the doctor told you that a thing told you you might possibly. No. So if you're not sleeping well and you know this because you're waking up groggy, then you got an issue. But it's because something told you weren't in REM sleep, I wouldn't even think about it. Okay.
Yeah,
go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, if you have symptoms of being sleep deprived, and I mean, obviously they say they have a CPAP, so they went through that whole rigmarole.
Yeah.
To say the word wrong, but they went through all those tests and the CPAP stuff and all that. So, I mean, if they feel like the CPAP has helped a lot, I don't know what's the problem. Unless you have a symptom, you know, like, don't worry about things so much. I mean, what am I supposed to say? Try some melatonin? I don't know. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the truth, is if you have symptoms, then, you know, because he didn't say I'm waking up tired, or he didn't say I'm struggling to go to sleep, or he's waking up 3 times a night. And that's why I jumped to the idea that it might just be something your watch is telling you or something.
Right.
So take the watch off and go to sleep.
I've been tracking all that stuff, and but I take it with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? Like, I've been watching my sleep, and when it says how much deep sleep I get, and then I've been watching, you know, like, okay, it says I didn't get as much deep sleep last night. How do I feel? Do I feel any different? I don't think so. And then there's other days where it's like, I feel kind of groggy today. What did my sleep tell me? It's like, it didn't really, it doesn't equate. You know, so but I am.
No
I do
direct
feel,
link.
Yeah, but I do feel like, though, by paying attention to that, maybe it could inform me if I'm having an issue down the road. You know what I mean? But
yes,
as of right now,
see a trend.
Yeah, exactly. But as of right now, it's just, and it's easy to get caught up in that. Like, oh man, my VMO isn't good. Well, how do I know? I just bought the watch and I put it on and that's what it said. Well, is it my VMO, or am I drinking too much coffee? You know what I mean? Or whatever.
Right.
So that's a good answer. I like that.
Is there an amount of coffee that's too much? I'm just curious.
No.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
No.
That was
you used to have
question.
a lot of sleep issues, though, didn't you, Dusty? Because I remember you said you sleep better now than
my
you used
life
to.
was a mess.
Oh, okay.
Turns out, I went to the clinic, went to the doctor, had all these drugs, surgery, and then I found out my life's just a fucking disaster.
It's just the most honest answer I've ever given.
That's amazing.
10
years not sleeping well. Turns out I was just a terrible human.
That's pretty much how it rolled through. Became less of an asshole, and all of a sudden I was sleeping like a baby. I'm like, damn, that's the secret, huh?
You know, people appreciate watching you evolve on this show, Dusty.
Well, they were also enjoying watching me spiral before, so it's
right. We drew them in with the spiral. Okay.
We have an important Patreon question here from Frank Sullivan. He says, if for the rest of your life you had to either have sweet or savory, which would you choose for your off-diet meals?
Pizza and burgers all day long.
Not even a question.
Yeah.
I work with a guy who just ate 200 grams of carbs from pudding for his cheat meal. I was like, that's interesting.
That's a lot of love for pudding. That's
Yeah.
That's an odd choice.
But I just rolled with it. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, we'll see how it goes. He's in an off season. You just need more carbs. So I'm like, okay, we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
What flavor?
Well, hey.
I don't know, but I pictured chocolate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'd have to be your butterscotch. Yeah.
You gotta, these are the questions I ask clients for real. Just I'm curious. I'm like, sorry, this has nothing to do with your diet, but what flavor was 200 grams
was
of
asking
carbs?
me these scientific questions about what flavor I was using. I'm just curious. What flavor? That's
why your digestion's a mess. You didn't use butterscotch.
You do 4 different flavors, or are you going to do 1 flavor?
Yeah. His digestion was fine, too. It was like he didn't have any issues. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll try it again, I guess.
Liquid. Takes the shape of its container.
Yeah. Okay. Question for the next show. What was each of you guys' best pose on stage, and also what you felt your worst was? And I know that Michael is getting ready to compete in another couple of weeks now. So he's probably thinking about that himself. He's probably thinking about that himself.
Yeah. My best pose was probably my front lat spread.
Yes. Yes.
And then I also thought I had a great side chest. Like I used to think I did pretty good winning that shot in several shows, and my most musculars were pretty solid. So I would say those would be like my best poses.
I was gonna jump in and say the most muscular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Ron is like, people don't realize. I think it helps now that you're not so heavy, just how wide you are, because you're down 60 pounds and are still really wide. So I don't think people really know, how wide you were. So like when you hit a most muscular, it's like I always had to do like hands on hips or hands clasped to stay wide, because if not, my shoulders just dip in. I remember JJ Marsh, you guys will love this. We're hitting a shot and I hit the clasp most muscular, like, oh yeah. And then I hit the hands on hips and he was like, yeah. He goes, well, give me a crab. I gave him a crab. He goes, don't ever do that again. It was amazing. I was like, okay.
Scarred you a little bit and you were afraid to, you know?
Well, it was funny because I knew it was bad, but I was like, okay. I just love it. He was just, don't for the rest of your life ever do that again. Don't be tempted to bust that train wreck out.
Yeah.
So worst pose would be a crab most muscular. Best for me was, obviously a rear lat spread would be the best. Rear double was fine. Side chest, and then from there it was really quickly downhill. But those 3 weren't bad. I love that people are laughing. They laugh, and I'm like, I'm dead serious.
I look back at some of my pictures now and I'm like, oh, that actually looks all right. But at the time I thought my front double was my worst pose, because I always felt like my arms weren't big enough. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So right off the bat, you're like, there's my arms that need an inch. Okay, let's get to the lat spread. Okay, here we go. Like I always felt like the first pose was like, okay, let's just do this. Okay, we're done. Okay, now let's move on to the lat spreads. Okay, let's go, you know? And it was always the one that was like, just hard, I was like, fuck, I wish I had another inch on those arms.
If we could just start with the lat spread, they might ignore my front double.
Right.
Talking about my lat spread.
I had to really maximize the V taper to just try to draw, that aesthetic look to it. I started adding a little bit of a twist at the end sometimes, You know
what I would say, though, for real, because I know I like to make fun of myself, but something for guys to think about, and girls, conditioning makes up for a lot.
Yep.
So when you do, for everyone, if you have a beautiful physique, be sliced. But all kidding aside, because I know I took some flack on the Ash show for joking about my genetics, but it's like you get away with a lot by going all in on your advantages, which with me was just being big and then just being sliced. Because they're like, it's not pretty, but it's ugly in the best possible way. So I just like to remind people of that, because that's the area, like we were talking about the guy that we critiqued. He's nasty. He's got pretty physique, but I would not be afraid to throw him in any regional untested show, because he's so sliced. 3 weeks to go, he'll be inside out. He'll ruin guys that are 20 pounds bigger than him because they'll look fat as shit next to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I never liked the ab and thigh shot, and I always when we had to hit it, I always felt like they're like, you know, you hit rear double, and they're like, okay, gentlemen, face the front, ab and thigh, and then I would hit it, and then I'd be like, oh, okay, we'll just get through this, and most muscular, and it's just like it was like that moment where I'm like, I really don't like this. Let's just get through it. I know this guy probably looks better than me.
Point at your calf?
Yeah, I should have.
No one would have even seen the rest.
Do the ab thigh, and then when everyone does like, you know, some sort of twist to show their, you know, everyone gets a little uncomfortable and they start doing this a little.
Yeah.
You just point at the calf.
Yeah, just point at the calf. I should have.
You should have done the calf.
I needed you there, Ron.
The calf swing like it's a quad.
Yeah, wag
the
it.
Calf. Just
I
waggle
can do that.
the calf.
I could do that too.
I knew you could. I hate you. I hate you more every day.
I remember though my first show, I looked like trash in every pose except for when I'd turn to the side. And like side shots were like, okay, I can kind of, yeah, this works for me. You know what I mean? And then every show I was like, okay, now this pose works good too. Like it was like every show, like everything looked a little bit better. You know what I mean? Like I got another pose that worked kind of thing, you know?
I remember vividly 2004, I got 4th at nationals. It was a very tough class. And I was disappointed with 4th, and I wasn't quite as hard as I wanted to be, you know, but I remember when I got the photos back, I was like, oh, I've got like a back double now.
Yeah.
Like I was looking at the lineup, you know, like, you know, a grainy photo from the photo develop, like picked up at, you know, London Drugs 24-hour photo mat. And I'm looking at like the top 4 or 5 guys. And I'm like, oh yeah, I like right in there, the back. I mean, I got a back double now, you know, cause I remember always thinking like I was so wide, I needed more thickness, you know?
Yeah.
And I always felt like I did great in the lat spread, and then like as a younger bodybuilder, and then the back double was a little thin, you know? And then there was that like 1 year where I was like, oh, I got a man back now. Like, you know? Yeah.
All right. We got a couple more here. Question for the next show. Oh, Donna. Hi, Donna.
Donna came in.
Question for the next show. Do you stop drinking water or any drinks in general anytime prior to going to sleep? Is there any reason other than just avoiding having to go to the bathroom during the night?
I actually don't restrict water coming into bedtime. I just drink normally all the time. I try not to guzzle like a whole liter right before bed. Yeah. But you know, like I'll drink a whole shaker watching a TV show at 10 o'clock at night. And then, you know, I'll have some fluid with my last meal. And yeah, I don't know. I'd rather stay hydrated than like restrict water. And I don't know, you got to get up to pee anyways, I find. I just, you know, don't do anything dumb and like guzzle fluid before bed. You're going to wind up waking up right away to pee. But, you know, I don't really think of it.
Same. I mean, the only thing that makes me dumber is that I would wake up to pee and then be thirsty and take a drink and then go back.
I do it all the time. I do that too. Yeah.
All right, good. Because I just keep one next to the bed and I'm like,
yeah,
because I'm thirsty. I'm like, I can't go to sleep without at least, you know, a couple ounces, then right back to bed.
I hate being thirsty. And I always was of the mindset that when you're dehydrated, you burn less fat and build less muscle. And when you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated.
For sure. Exactly. I always say that too.
I thought, okay, so I should never be thirsty.
Yeah.
And I just always had that mindset. Never be thirsty. It's not good for growing. It's not good for recovery. And it's not good for getting leaner.
It's just a random comment here from Justin Montgomery. He says, I want to hang out with Ron and Dusty for a day so badly. Listen, if we had, do you remember how we were talking about like if we had like a bunch of money and stuff, what would we do with it? That would be like a thing. Like we could have like a contest where it'd be like come and hang with Ron and Dusty for a day. You know what I mean? I'll fly you out.
Yeah. Well, where did you go?
I answered him because he goes, I follow him on Instagram. And he does a lot of fishing. And I was like, take us fishing.
I saw that. I thought it was random, but I saw that.
I want to go.
Oh, okay.
I'm down on anything about fishing. Let's do this.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
And shit.
It's kind of an interesting one here. So Scott, the producer, I've got to ask. Yeah, the producer. I've got to ask. You're always holding down a nice smile, bro. Have you ever had? Have you or anyone ever decided I'm gonna smile at that girl and completely crapped the bed. I think this keeps happening to me, he said.
I love this guy. That's amazing.
No, I've been
That's
at
for
a
you,
game.
Scott.
Yeah, that's.
I got
Well, he said
nothing to do
me
with
or anyone. But I will say this, that like, here's what I've noticed is that if I used to smile a lot more in public, and so I eventually, though.
Married?
Yeah, no. I smile even more after that. But then I decided to stop. I felt like I don't really need to please people. I feel like it was kind of like a people-pleasing thing, you know, where I'd go into a store and I'd go to the register and I'd be like, oh, you know, I'd go to pay and I'd be like, oh, you know, how's your day going and stuff like that. Oh, you guys busy up here, and make small talk. Very Canadian, right, Ron? And I felt like I needed to do that. And then I felt to myself like, well, what if I didn't do that? What if I just walked up to the register and I just put my shit down, and then I put my card in, I paid, and I didn't even say like, oh, I hope you have a nice day, and I walked away, right? And I felt like when I first did that, it was like uncomfortable to me. And then I realized, like, you know, why was that uncomfortable to me? Maybe this is a challenge for me, that I maybe need to not smile and try to make small talk and be polite, because it's kind of a people-pleasing thing. So I actually broke myself of that habit. But I will say this, that I've had a habit of like walking around, holding the door for people, smiling to people. And there's a certain breed of younger girl that goes to the gym that completely takes that the wrong way. And they're immediately like, oh, that guy's hitting on me. And it's just so funny that you can walk through the world and, you know, anybody else, you're smiling, and then some girl's like, you know, because I've definitely got shot down by, you know, some random chick that I wasn't even really smiling toward directly, but you know, yeah, that kind of thing.
You should have just looked her right in the face and said, that smile was for your mother, sweetheart. Relax.
It was a general smile in your direction. It wasn't really a targeted smile.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great expert. So what I gathered from all that was Scott was too nice, and he decided to try on being an asshole for a while.
Dusty.
He's taken to it. He's taken to it.
Yeah. This is before I met Dusty. This is before I met Dusty.
That's great. No, I think to answer the question, though, it's like, I think it's more than a smile. It's got to be just like your energy. Like I don't know how to smile. Like that's why I don't smile in pictures. I don't know how to smile normal unless I'm like laughing. Like,
yeah.
If not, it just looks like I'm a fourth grader still like trying to smile for the camera. But like people just, yeah, exactly. Like, you know, like, oh, is he all right? What's going on here? But you know, being welcoming, especially when you're bigger. I mean, Ron, you know that. Like the first thing you have to do is knock down a wall when someone sees you.
Yeah,
which is that
that's
you
why
are
I
a
smile
terrible
at people.
human. You know, so you make sure it's like overly. I used to go overly nice to people when they first come in, especially like when I own the stores. I would always be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like way over the top, and they're like, the guard drops, and then you can be a normal human.
Yeah, I don't make like nonsense small talk with cashiers or anything, and you know, unless of course they're really hot.
Or their mom is.
But I do always like smile at people when I walk into a store or whatever. I'll smile at whoever's working at the store. I'll say hi, like, hey, how's it going? You know, and then I'll go get what I need and I'll just pay for it. But I do definitely, you know, like I think it's like a leftover relic from like wanting to disarm people. You know, of this giant juice head walked in my store. And he was really nice. It was all good, you know. So I guess I sort of like got used to doing that a lot, you know. It's still sort of, but then also too, like 99% of my life is in a 5-minute circle. So these are all people in my community now, and like everyone knows me as like one of the West Coast owners and the Mutant guy, and so everywhere I go, I sort of do nod and smile and say hi to everybody, you know.
Yeah, I'm same. I know everybody everywhere I go. It's phenomenal.
Oh, hey, Ron.
All right, I got one more. No, actually, I had two more. So, question for overrated, underrated.
Question.
Yes, off-season cardio, almost unheard of. What do you think, Scott, Ron, and Dusty, yourselves and clients?
Well, I definitely did too little, as in almost none, for like the entire time I was a bodybuilder. I didn't really do off-season cardio ever. and it was probably to my detriment, but we were just, that's how we thought. We're like, oh, it's for prep, and I wasn't thinking of health or anything. Now looking back, I think it would have been a good idea to, do a bit of cardio all the time. Even just for like general statistical health reasons, even if nothing visual was different, just the stats on doing some cardio were probably better. Right. And that's how I sort of look at things now. So, I probably should have done more. I think that, some people just loathe off season cardio like me now. I'm, I don't want to walk on a treadmill. I don't want to do that, but I look at the health benefits of the bike sprints that I'm doing, and that's what motivates me. Like, I'm not motivated by being lean. I'm lean all the time just because of how I live and eat and train and stuff. And it's not the cardio that keeps me lean because I don't do enough of it, but I do the sprint cardio on the bike for longevity reasons and for health reasons and blood work and how things look on paper when I do sprint cardio. And, so that's why I do it.
Makes sense. I do. I'm with you, Ron. I didn't do nearly enough back in the day. And in hindsight, that hindered my training. I'm not even talking about health. I think that there were reps left on the table when, you're doing deadlifts. And I always liked, for me, low range was 6 to 8 reps on something like deads. And there was that point where you were fighting your oxygen more than you were fighting the weight. And that cost. And now, it's truly why I bought the Echo bike, is because I wanted to get, as soon as I realized, like I said, that Nikki was competing, I'm like, okay, my wind can't slow her down. And I don't want to, I'm same with you, Ron. I'm like, I own a treadmill. We have a Peloton. I got all sorts of shit in this house. I do not want to do anything for 30 minutes. So I get on that Echo bike. I do 30 seconds all out, 90 seconds rest, 30 seconds all out until I've done 3 minutes all out, and I get off. Wind is improved in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I get done with a hard set, and like a minute later, I'm totally back to normal. So, I think that that's the area that I would suggest for athletes to consider, that HIIT cardio. And just so you know, if you ever see somebody say that it HIIT cardio for 30 minutes, they are lying. That is not HIIT.
That's intervals. That's just regular intervals. Yeah.
It's very, very, when I'm on my third 30 seconds, I just look down and then I'll glance up to see where the time is. And on my first 2 or 3, I'm at like 24 seconds before I look up. On the last 2 or 3, I'm at 12 seconds. I'm like, oh, shit. This is not good.
Yeah.
I love that thing. That is the worst tool I've ever bought in bodybuilding. I love it. And you have no excuse. It's like you have 10 minutes. There's no reason not to do it.
Yeah. I know once I get on it, I'm like, I can't get off this now till I'm done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like the commitment.
Yeah.
I
just wonder too, I remember having like my sleep apnea got pretty bad and feeling, and I wasn't nearly your guys' size, but I got to the point where I would get winded. I would struggle to walk up a flight of stairs or tie my shoes. Like I could feel a difference. Right. Mm-hmm. And if I could have corrected that and made myself comfortable, could I have taken it further?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, last one. We had a question about Piana. Thinking about, I can't see where it's at immediately, but it was basically like they wanted an episode dedicated to Piana stories. Stuff like that, yeah. Yeah, I don't know where it's at exactly here. But, just in general, looking for some Rich Piana stuff. The real stuff of hanging out with him, behind the scenes, that kind of stuff.
Don't go too far behind those scenes. They're like partially behind the scenes.
Yeah, man. Geez, I don't know. I've told a bunch of stories about Rich before.
You really have.
But he was a unique guy. The thing about Rich was just how many people he knew. Like I remember going to Gold's Venice with him, and there was and it wasn't just people wanting to, this was as he was just getting famous, right? But all the old Gold's Venice people that he knew were coming up. Hey, Rich, shaking his hand, giving bro hugs. That was everybody. He knew everybody. Walking to Gold's Venice with him, and it's there's like 50 greetings before you get to start working out, because everyone's like, Rich, how's it going, man? Good to see you. Haven't been down in a while, He just knew everybody, that LA lifestyle. People forget that his dad was in a rock band. So his dad was a musician and his mom was a bodybuilder.
No kidding.
And so he grew up like surrounded by all these crazy, these two crazy worlds, the world of bodybuilding and the world of like, bars and clubs and rock and roll. And like, so he had a lot of crazy stories, man. It was just endless, endless, He knew all the seedy underworld people, and, like he had crazy stories. I remember, did I ever tell a story about his ex-girlfriend stealing the money out of his safe?
No.
That's a good story. We'll go with this.
No, I've never heard this one.
So he tells me, he's like, there was a little period of time where his like little brother lived with him. And he told me one time, I heard a story about him like having to chase after his ex-girlfriend because she stole money from him. And I'm like, what happened? And he's like, oh, my little brother was sitting on the couch watching TV one day, and my ex-girlfriend just ran through the living room and out the front door. And my little brother was like, what the fuck? So he got up and went in the back where she came out of.
Yeah.
And the safe was open. And he looks, and she came in the dog door. She hopped the fence, came in the dog door, broke into the safe because she knew the code, took all the money out of the safe, went out the front door.
Why didn't she go back out the back? You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I just didn't want to crawl through the dog door again. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to get
unlock
through. I
it
don't
from
know.
the inside. But you wouldn't know.
Maybe it was in the side of the house. It didn't have a door. It could be.
Yeah. So he ran upstairs, or ran to the bedroom. He's like, Rich, your ex-girlfriend just ran through the house. I think she was in the safe. So Rich hopped in his truck and driving around the neighborhood trying to find her. Anyways, he found her. It was like these crazy people that he knew, just crazy stories and like going over to his house, and there's nothing in the fridge but egg whites. It's just nothing but egg whites. I'm like, you have any food?
Because the only meal he ate at home.
No, because he made his breakfast. That was it.
Oh,
and then all the other meals he ate out, right?
No
so
kidding.
He just had nothing but egg whites in the fridge.
All of them. He ate all his meals out except for the breakfast.
Yeah.
Think about what that costs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was
this one Middle Eastern restaurant. I can't remember if it was like a Lebanese restaurant or what it was, but it was like one of those meat and rice, like Middle Eastern meat and rice places, right?
Yeah.
And it was right in the valley. And he said, oh, I eat here every single day. And we walked up and they were like, hey, big man. And they just started like dishing up his triple meat, rice plate. And he just went like that, just held up a 2. So they made one for me.
Yeah.
We got these like crazy plates of like, beef and rice, and he just knew everyone. So it was pretty cool to hang out with him in LA, walking around with him.
I bet. I bet.
Like just weird stuff. Like you're walking down the main strip in the valley and this lowrider goes by, like real fancy lowrider, like music cranked, and the guy yells, Rich, and like waves. Rich goes, hey man, big man. Like just, this is that kind of type of stuff. It was an interesting experience.
Yeah. It's crazy to see how popular he got. And I remember being at the Arnold, and he had like his whole crew when he had his own booth and stuff, and just like all sorts of people that just like, man, the people that just loved him, the people that just connected to him in the lines and stuff, everybody waiting to meet him and stuff. And where I'm from, kind of like a more of a blue collar area. And I just feel like he really connected to a lot of those people who maybe like didn't have the best in life, and they like, I don't know, he really, they got him,
It was the one thing I learned from watching Rich do his thing was like, who would have thought, like, think of it this way, a lot of people think, oh, there's no audience for me. Right. A lot of people have that, everyone looks down like, oh, I only have 400 people watching my podcast, or only have 100 people seeing my story, or, people get down on themselves because of their numbers. And this was one thing Rich was really big on. Like you might only have 100 people watching your story, but like that's 100 people. Like it used to be a huge issue to get 10 people to show up at a seminar. you know, and you get 100 people to watch your story about, you know, your protein or whatever, you know what I mean? Like just in comparison, he always tried to get people to look at the numbers. Like, this is incredible. Don't be down on your numbers. Right. And he was always really big on that. Like and then he used to say, like, who would have thought, like, if I told someone that I was going to get this massive audience based on guys that wear Dickie shorts and tank tops and have tattoos and work out, you would have thought that's a tiny little sliver of the market. Who would bother marketing to them?
Yeah.
And he's like, but I'll take all of them. And guess what? There's a million of them. And they're all buying my shirt. And if I sell a million shirts, I'm rich.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he saw things like that. He's like, your market might be this many people, but if you take all of them, there's a million of them.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there was a guy at a gym that I saw not too long ago. He still had the tattoo, the 5% tattoo, the whole back of his hand, 5%. He tattooed it on his body for the rest of his life because that's how much he believed in it, you know?
Yeah. I feel like that's what Rich did that was really good, and good marketing does, is it makes your followers feel like they're a part of something.
Yeah.
And Rich made... I mean, that was the great thing. Like, I didn't know Rich anywhere near the way Ron did, but even if you were just step back and watched him, his interaction with every individual mattered. Like, you could see it. Like, he was there, like, with one person at a time. Didn't matter how long the line was. It was one person at a time, and that is why. I mean, I guarantee you, no one ever left a meeting with Rich and thought less of him than when they got there.
Right. Rich had that view that if you focus on the most important thing, like, pick the most important thing, and that should be what you focused on the most. Right. And some people get that wrong. Like, maybe they run a business and the most important thing is to keep their customers happy, but they don't make that the number one priority. They make something else the number one priority. And Rich would always be like, I can screw up at a lot of stuff, but if I nail meeting people and giving them a great experience as a fan, everything else will take care of itself.
It's so simple the way that, like, it makes so much sense.
Simplify it.
Yeah.
Like, just be on at the expos. Just that's all you got to do, is just be on at the expos 100%. And then the rest will just take care of itself. It won't be a big deal.
That's wild.
You know? So, yeah. It kind of works.
It's a great answer.
Okay.
That's all we got.
Do we have any?
That's it.
Is that all we got?
That's it. You got anything, Dusty?
Jeez. Easy breezy. I didn't.
All right.
I was just completely unprepared today. Just excited to see Justin on last time. I knew we had some leftovers, so this was solid. This was a good day.
So I'm gonna throw this out for the viewers.
Yeah.
They're sort of not in sync with reality watching this episode, because you're actually on holidays and we recorded this maybe a week or two before.
Yes. Up to 3, Ron.
Up to 3 weeks.
3.
Wow. So tell us what you're doing right now in real time. On holidays.
We are either in, it's not quite a holiday. It is kind of for me, but Victoria is speaking at a seminar on I think functional health or functional training, or what is it? I can't even remember offhand, but
some smarty pants bullshit.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. She's doing a talk, and that is in Melbourne, Australia. And then we're going to spend a week in Melbourne, and we're going to be like, have you been there, Ron?
Oh, yeah, many times.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to be like right in the downtown area. There's like a little river or something. And
really great gym recommendations.
Okay. And then we are heading to, we're going to fly into Brisbane, okay? Because that's where we're going to fly out of. So we're flying into Brisbane, then we're going to fly over to Melbourne, stay there, and then after that, go back to Brisbane and spend a week there. So a week in Melbourne, week in Brisbane, and there's this is like all her deal. She has there's a Netflix thing that's being done, and they wanted her to be in that. So she's going to be doing that in Brisbane, and then we're going to have like 5 days at the end where we're going to try to do our own thing. So
wow, awesome.
toss in how you just like rolled out the Netflix wants her to be in this thing?
Yeah, it's this Netflix deal we got to go to.
Yeah.
Netflix called again.
It's a documentary. It's a documentary.
Yeah, some documentary about really smart people.
She was in another one for Chris Duffin that I don't know if it's but it was shot for Netflix. And that's when Chris Duffin came here. Chris Duffin was like the other famous person, I guess, who was at the house. They shot the whole video. They did an interview with her and Chris, and they shot that in the gym, which was kind of cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So hopefully we get to see that. I've seen like the trailer and stuff. That's still like coming together. But she helped Chris get his health in place so that he could do that 1,001 pound squat for 3 reps.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. Wow. So she's, just working with casual 1,000-pound squatters.
Yeah.
For 3.
Yeah, for 3.
For 3. Yeah.
I want to touch on some of the feedback from her episode was great having her on.
Yeah.
I had some female listeners send like really genuine thank yous.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like, thank you for having her on. Like, she helped me really think about a few things and, see the big picture and understand how complicated this can all get.
Yeah.
And, because there's a lot of people that, they get themselves into very frustrating positions where they don't understand what's going on. There's a lot of chaos, And so it was great to have her on. And I like getting feedback from people, there might be some fart jokes on here and, some stories that aren't really relevant to anything regarding making gains. But it's nice when we, provide like a sliver of pie that's just pure good information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She got to meet Drea.
That part.
She met Drea before, like back in 19, but she got to hang out with Drea yesterday, and they really connected. And she's they were talking all about all sorts of stuff. So she was giving Drea some insights into like supplementation and like sleep quality and stuff like that. So it's cool. It's always cool to see her get to connect to people and get to share what she knows. So. Yeah, evidence-based. That's what this is, like evidence-based training or something, health, something like that I don't even know yet. but her whole thing is going to be about like why, like she's going to this seminar and her whole talk is going to be about like why evidence-based stuff might not be the best route to go. So like they're all going to be.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So,
are we going to be able to watch this like after the fact?
I don't know. I mean, it's probably you'd have to pay money behind a paywall or something like that, I'm guessing, but it's going to be a big conference.
I'd literally be curious to see that just because that's not what I would expect to hear that she's going to roll in with.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here to talk about evidence-based stuff. I'm going to tell you why it may not be the best way to go.
Yeah, so that's the way she rolls. You know what I mean?
I like that. that.
So I'm excited though because this is the farthest trip that either of us have ever taken. It's going to literally be like a 25-hour flight. There's going to be a bunch of different connections. So yeah, it's going to be cool. And we've been watching Lost, which is kind of weird because the whole like trip from Sydney and all that kind of thing. Yeah, I'm freaking pumped. And we're going to still get content out as you guys. If you're watching this now, you see that. I can't promise it'll be on the exact same schedule. Plus, Dave Crossland, he's out of commission at the moment. He broke his leg. He literally, he was. In fact, I think I have unless I threw it out here. No, but I have a. This is his picture that he had posted. He was chasing 2 shoplifters, and he tumbled down the stairs with one of them. He did catch both of them, but he broke the top of his tibia. And he's going back into the hospital tomorrow when we normally record. So we might not have drugs and stuff for several weeks now. So yeah, it's not great.
Oh, wow. Damn. Okay.
Look at him
bad
fighting
news.
the good
Get
fight.
well. Get well, Crossland. Okay.
So that's that.
Well,
yeah.
That's that.
What are you guys going to do with all your time off on Mondays when we normally record?
I'm going to be here waiting. I'm just going to watch the screen for 2 hours.
I'm just not going to fall behind on my phone by 3 hours is all I'm going to do.
There you
go. My phone right now is a disaster.
Me too.
Yeah. It really won't change much. I'll just be on my phone all Monday morning catching up on check-ins and stuff like that.
He doesn't work as late Monday nights now.
Yeah.
I'll just go to bed on a normal time on Monday. That's all. Okay. Okay. Thanks, guys. And remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
Ring the bell. Oh, I know we're way off, but really huge congrats to Roman Fritz for qualifying for the O. I know this episode won't line up in any way, but to us, it just happened yesterday. Yes. So huge congrats to him. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Okay, everybody, remember, IamMutant.com, Dusty20, Big Ron 20. Get your 20% off. Get your all-in, get your IsoSurgeon. Everyone should get on the gear. And the Patreon for Think Big Bodybuilding Media. For Scott, the producer, keep a producer homed. Thanks, guys. We will talk to you soon. I guess we're going to have a little break, but no one else will get a break, which is perfect. Right?
Yeah.
It's all the way we love it.
You guys put the legwork in to make this happen. So,
well, make sure you go to Doherty's Gym on Brunswick and go see the original location. Go see Tony Doherty down there in Australia. He's a very important figure in bodybuilding. And
I'd like to
support his gym. See him at Brunswick. He's got several other locations. And then there's lots of other great gyms in the Melbourne area. They got tons of great facilities. So you will not be disappointed.
I think that the people that Victoria knows, they have a gym too. So we're going to probably check that out. They know the whole community and all of that. And then there's a podcast thing I think happening, like like fitness focused podcast we'll be doing in Brisbane, I think. So
okay, cool, man. Sweet. Have a great time in Australia. I highly recommend it.
I know you do. I'll tell Australia you said hello.
And if you get a chance to go to a little bit south of Brisbane is the Gold Coast, where I spent a lot of time, Surfers Paradise and that sort of area. If you get a chance to go. But it's going to all be beautiful.
We're going to have like 5 days. So once we get to Brisbane, will it be like a solid 5 days? I saw those mountains that are south there too. There's rainforest, hiking. So we'd like to get into all that. Damn. What's our likelihood of seeing like a cool wild animal in that area?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all sorts of like sanctuaries and really cool nature stuff where you can go see stuff. So there, all else
we're going to do that. We're going to do that for sure.
I mean, yeah.
But I want to see like a kangaroo or something.
Oh yeah. Well, if you're in Queensland, I mean, that's semi-tropical there. So there's, you can see stuff. There's stuff going on. Just don't go looking for stuff that will kill you, because it's there.
No,
you'll find it.
Good advice, Ron.
Yeah, walking around barefoot in the jungle. Yeah. Okay. Have a good one, guys. And remember, it's just bodybuilding.